What's going on there, guys? This is Quinn, that's Snazzy iPhone guy, and this is the video review of the HiFiMan HE-500 Orthodynamic headphones, which retail for $899 US from headdirect.com. Now, I know I try and keep my headphone videos short, but as all of you guys know, my videos are never the shortest, especially when I have a very impressive product to talk about, which is what we have here today. Now, this orthodynamic planar magnet technology has really taken off in headphones in the last, really just the last year or two. And audez'e with the LCD2 really has the monopoly on the market. I mean, they're pretty much the headphone that I would say 80% of the audiophile community will say is the best for the money. And one of the other very well-respected headphones in this category is the HiFiMan HE6. Now, the problem with the HE6 is it is a power-hungry monster. It requires at least 10 watts of power, and people will even be using crazy 50-watt amps, which are thousands of dollars to get these headphones to sound the way they should. And HiFiMan noticed that this was not something that was practical for most users, and they created what was initially the HE6P, which bled into the new name, the HE-500. Now, these only require 1 watt of power in order to create the sound that HiFiMan finds sufficient, and I actually found them even to run pretty well on power less than that. Now, I did have a nicer setup with good amplifiers, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it was even efficient enough to work with, the likes of the FIO E7 and the new E11 portable amplifiers. And ironically enough, it actually sounded halfway decent running straight out of my MacBook Pro, which is something that is a little bit unusual for these more power-hungry headphones. I mean, just because it is the quote-unquote efficient version doesn't mean it's quote-unquote efficient. It still does require quite a bit of power to get that full sound, but it is capable, they are capable of running on less power, which is something pretty cool to know. Now, I do have the pre-production model. Mine came with a kind of a cardboard cheaper box, but the newer ones come with a wood box and storage case, whatever. Not that important, but it's nice to see that you do get one of those. It comes with a 6-foot Conair headphone cable, which I absolutely love, which I'll be talking about in just a minute, which is, in my opinion, an upgrade from the 6Ps included cable. And then they give you an additional ear cup. This was probably my biggest complaint about the headphones. I broke the first ear cup in the first week, and my second one is already starting to split. I feel like the ear cups included in this are really lousy, and that's something that's kind of frustrating when you spend $900 on headphones. I'm sure you could contact HiFiMan, and more than likely they'd send one out free of charge, but I mean, just having the headphones that low of a quality is really rather irritating. So that's what comes in the box. My setup was primarily with a FIO E9. However, I did have a Burson Audio HA-160D for a few days, and then I actually did try it for a couple hours on a Lieben CS300XS, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. But the Burson Audio HA-160D was very well-rounded. It's just over $1,000, and it's a pretty serious headphone amplifier, but it is one that's more, I should say, prosumer-oriented than true audiophile. However, even the FIO E9, which is, I don't even remember, like $130 or something like that, sounds pretty fantastic, which is really great and really does show the quote-unquote efficiency that these claim. Now, if you've heard the HiFiMan HE6 before, I do want to give you a little bit of a comparison. The HE-500 are a lot warmer and they're less bright than the HE6, which I felt was really too bright, and I felt like that original rendition of that HE6, although it is beautiful and is fantastic in the trebles, it is a little bit harsh, and you did get those piercing notes that I don't ever find that pleasant. So in the HE6, in the HE-500, the bass is a lot looser, and the HE6 doesn't quite match the bass of the HE-500s, and then the HE-500s kind of gets rid of that harsh treble and makes the mids a little bit more warm. That being said, though, the bass doesn't match that of the audez'e LCD2s. I think those still do best the HE-500s, but it's pretty close. Now, the cable itself is warmer and bassier after burn-in. One of the bizarre things about these headphones, and I'm not sure if they were the headphones themselves or the cables, but they ship you these headphones with 10 hours of burn-in on them, and when I initially put them on, I was like, wow, these are incredibly bright. In fact, I even found that they were brighter than the HE6, which made me want to return them and not even to do a review on them. But After using them for about 200 hours, I really noticed things to kind of soften up and get a little bit more warm in that in the mids. And then after about 400 hours, it really balanced out. But if you don't believe in burn-in, the HE-500 will totally convince you that burn-in exists, because it is drastic and is absolutely insane how much the sound of these headphones changes after a couple weeks, rather than the moment you pull them out of the box. Now, that's kind of the comparison between the HE6 and a little bit of the audez'e LCD2. Now, Soundstage is brilliant on the HE500, like seriously amazing. It has a really open sound, and there were points when I actually looked over my shoulder. I know the track, I'd heard it on tons of other headphones that are equally as expensive, but the HE500 caused me to actually look over. That's how good Soundstage is. It's brilliant. Because of this, you're going to have absolutely, and because of the open ear design, there's absolutely no noise canceling. You can hear everything. You could drop a piece of paper on the floor and you'd hear it with these headphones on your ears, pumping music pretty loud. But it really does create that open sound. And one album that really shocked me was Explorations in Space and Time by Jamie Mark and Sherman Len. Like, it was insanely open. I mean, it just felt like I was listening to it live. And then the soundstage was crazy. I'd hear something coming from behind me, and it was just absolutely marvelous. The center image actually seems really great, and it has a pretty chummy soundstage, and I mean that in a good context. That's really rather coherent. And, vocals were pretty colorful and pretty forward, almost too much. So if I have another complaint about these headphones, it's this. I was hoping for something a little bit more dry, not so dry as the audez'e LCD2s, but a little bit more dry than what they were. I mean, they were so colorful and piercing that oftentimes I'd just listen to jazz and instrumental stuff because the vocals were a little bit too forward. One of the last things I want to mention is they're pretty quickly paced, making a really fun headphone to listen to. You'll notice on like the Sennheiser HD550 and the HD800 that they're a little bit slower, and this was really a quickly paced headphone, which was, again, really, really fun to listen to, and I really like faster-paced headphones. Now, when amped up with the Liebherr CS300XS, which I got to borrow, I preferred the HE-500 over that of the Bayer T1, the Sennheiser HD800, and even the Denon D7000. The audez'e LCD2s, in my opinion, did outdo the HE-500s by just a hair. However, you do have to keep in mind that there's the $130 premium, assuming you want the cable when you do buy the audez'e LCD2s. So that makes the HE-500s in and of themselves a fantastic value. I highly recommend them, and I give them a 9 out of 10. I mean, they are seriously fantastic, and I think this orthodynamic technology is really the future. It outbested all of the other industry standard headphones for audiophiles, and I just absolutely loved it. It is going to be, pretty unique to, pretty biased towards specific genres. I mean, you're not going to want to go play teeny pop through here, but if you do have jazz, bluegrass, any really instrumentally strong sounds or strong songs, you're going to notice that the HE-500s perform admirably. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, rate, comment. For those of you that aren't that interested in high-end audio, I do apologize for the bit of a boring 8.5 minutes, but I hope you enjoy future videos to come. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks.